Alright, hello and welcome. This is RueshTV and I'm bringing you a Frost Mage guide, and I'm going to try to make it a little bit better than what it was last time because a lot of people complained that I have a terrible voice or that I'm stupid or whatever it was. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Frost Mage. I decided that I wanted to be Frost after doing the crazy easy mode fire for most of the expansion. I got the little 26 artifact power and decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to play a class that, or at least a spec that doesn't have a whole lot of people playing, and it would be easy for me to rank. So, selfish reasons, I did, at least for my realm. I can show you pictures of that. Go ahead and criticize me all you want. But it is just my realm, just the Mugthaw plus Dragon Maw plus Akama, whatever it was. But yeah, not much to say. It depends on whoever decides that they want to just whatever wants to log. It's fine. You can just look at it and would have flashed on the screen right here, but no big deal. Not a whole lot of people do it. Not a whole lot of people play Frost. So we're going to do that. All right. So we're talking a little bit about the talent spec. Here as a Frost Mage, it's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a few of the talents that you're really just going to pick no matter what situation it is. But there's also going to be some talents you're going to decide which talent you're going to be for AE, cleave, or single target. Alright, so for the talent spec, for the first one, it's going to be really difficult for me to decide which one I want to be. For me, I like bone chilling a lot. Whenever you attempt to chill a target, you gain bone chilling, increase it all frost damage by 0.5% for 8 seconds, stacking up 12 times, so you get a decent amount of damage done as it stacks. 12 times 0.5%, you keep it constant, a decent amount, like 6%. No big deal. Lonely Winter is actually fun. The only problem is you don't have your water elemental anymore, so you can't do water jets. But you do get 28% increased damage on all your abilities. Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Flurry, and Frozen Orb. So, I mean, if you are okay with not being able to have water jet to get your stuff, that's fine. And then there's Ray of Frost, and a lot of people are going to be like, hey, man, this is going to be the best one to do as long as you pair it with Rune of Power. And right now I'm just saying don't have to use Rune of Power for Ray of Frost. It really just depends. I think that the Thermal Void build is the best frost damage, so we just stick with Bone Chilling, and we just keep 100% uptime on Bone Chilling, and it does a pretty good job increasing your damage. Level 30 right now until 2.1 or 7.1.5 comes out. It's really up to you, depending on how you want to feel. Right now I'm running Shimmer. This is my my mythic go-to is Shimmer. I may switch to Cauterize during a raid. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I regret not switching to Cauterize. I'm terrible at mechanics most days. But Cold Snap gives you 2 charges and heals you. Cauterize just brings you up to 35% and then ticks down. You can get some heals. You also get some movement speed, and the Shimmer gives you a blink, 2 charges. It's pretty good having 2 charges of blink, which is good. There we go. There's my invite. For 45 talent spec, Incanter's Flow, Rune of Power, Mirror Images. I think it's really just depends on your feel, the way you want to do this. For me, I went with Incanter's Flow. You could go with Rune of Power. You can have the Rune of Power up so often. You get 50% increased damage while you stand there for 10 seconds, and then you have some kind of charge, 40-second recharge on this. So depending on how long the fight is, you can have X amount of Rune of Powers. It would work out for you. Personally, I like having the constant increased damage. I understand that it decreases by 4 every second, but it cycles at 10 seconds, and so you'll have between 4% and 10% bonus as you go along. Mirror Images is fine, fun PvP, I suppose. Don't use it. For level 60, for the single target, this is where it really just depends on what you want to do. Single target, AoE, or cleave. Single target, I go with the Frozen Touch. Frozen Touch gives you 2 charges of Fingers of Frost. And then Splitting Ice would be for my AE or my cleave. In a Mythic Plus build, this is how I'm going to use my damage as Splitting Ice, where Ice Lance and Icicles deal 5% increased damage, and also hits nearby target 80% of damage, so it's pretty intense. if you're going to cleave, you're going to want to do that anyways. So splitting ice is the way to go with that. For 75, the only way to go right now is ice flow, so just no need to use it. I mean, no need to describe it. It just gives you the ability to run and cast on cooldown, so it's just awesome. It gives you 3 charges as well. 90. This one is, people are going to discuss this up and down, which way or the other. Single target build right now for me is unstable magic. Frostbolt gives you 20% chance to explode on impact, dealing 50% damage to the target, and then others around for 8 seconds. So this one just does crazy amount of damage from your Frostbolt, and you're using Frostbolt all the time, so you might as well do it. So that's fine, dandy. The next one is going to be Frost Bomb, rather. And I use this in my cleave or my AoE. This it places the target on there, 12 seconds. Limits one target. Your Ice Lance benefits from Shatter will trigger a release of a wave or freezing wave or whatever. It does 50% damage to all targets and 31,000 damage to others. So it's pretty good in the dungeon because if you do get a bunch of Ice Lance procs, then boom, boom, you can fire them off and it does really good damage. For me personally, for single target, Unstable Magic is the way to go. Same with the Counterflow because you're not wasting that global cooldown casting Rune of Power or Frostbomb, and then it just helps with keeping your Icy Vein uptime, especially when you grab Thermal Void. So you grab Thermal Void, your Ice Lance increases your Icy Veins by 2 seconds. No brainer. That's where you want to go. You're doing your best here with Frozen Touch and other things to try to get as many Ice Lances as you can. You might as well use it as much as you can to increase your Icy Veins, and from there you just want to get as much of the uptime as you want. Another one that's pretty good, Glacial Strike. You might, if you are not doing Thermal Void, Glacial Spike is just pretty good with that as well. And I mean, there's something to mention about Comet Storm. It just drops 7 comets that deal 33k each. Doing it as a stack together AE, I mean that would be pretty good. It just depends on your play. So those are all 3 of the talent specs. I'll show them in the comments here. Yeah, over here. If I can get the arrow right on my finger. Yeah. So we're gonna have I don't know, list them out. I usually have links in the comments too saying which one we're gonna do for that as well. So that is the talents, and we'll move on to the artifact power. Alright, here we go. I'm on Wowhead with the artifact calculator for the Frost Mage. We're just going to take a look at the path that you should be taking to get to the maximum DPS, I believe. This one, it really just depends on how you feel about it, but that's how I went, and I guess you can argue with me if you want. But we're going to go towards the, it's cold outside, and then we're going to head up towards Chill to the Core, and then make our way back to Black Ice. Alright, so the first one, obviously, we're going to take Ebon Bolt. That's going to be your artifact weapon power. You're going to take right away when we get it. And then, like when we first get the weapon, you can use a point, and that's going to go right into Shattering Bolts. Shattering Bolt increases the crit strike chance of Frostbolt by 15%, which is pretty good damage. So we're going to go down there, and it's going to break us off this way or this way. Well, since we're going to It's Cold Outside, it makes sense to just go to the right. So we're going to grab the Storm Rages, which, if you don't use Blizzard a whole lot, then this is going to be a waste of 3 points, but it kind of is necessary to get moving along. Chain Reaction, this is going to be key to your damage. Frostbolt, Critical Strike empowers your Ice Lance, increasing damage dealt by 20% for 6 seconds, and stacking up to 3 times. So it's a crazy amount of damage. You can get up to 60% damage on your Ice Lances. That's why you want to weave your Frostbolts in and out of using the Ice Lance procs for Fingers of Frost. That way you just constantly have 60% damage done, or at least 20% at least on your Ice Lances. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. Then we're going to go Jouster. It's going to be crazy to have Jouster popping up in your uptimes if whatever. But whenever a Ice Lance deals damage, you take 6% less damage, which is awesome for raids. If you're going to end up taking some AoE damage, having Jouster up close to 80-90% of the time is just going to decrease the damage you're going to do. So after we have 8 points into here, we are welcoming our first golden trait. It's Cold Outside for number 9. Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Flurry, or Frozen Orb all deal 3% increased damage. Alright, so that's just pretty good damage. but that's all with only winter. If you have that one, that was a mistake. So if you do have this, your water elemental's damage does 30% increased damage and has a 5% to generate charges of Fingers of Frost. But if you did choose Lonely Winter, which most people, want to play around with it, it actually doesn't hinder you to have this talent because your Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Slurry, Frozen Orb deal an additional 3% damage increase. So it's actually kind of helps with the habit right here. So it's helps you determine which way you want to play around with that. The next thing you want to do is Frozen Veins, which is just fascinating to have, and it helps with the damage done. You want all 3 points of that as you can. If you can get relics that help with that, that's even better. But Frostbolt Critical Strike reduces the remaining cooldown by 0.5 seconds until you have all 3 points in there, and it's 1.5 seconds. So every time that you crit with your Frost Strike or Frostbolt, it will lower the cooldown of Frozen Veins, which is just phenomenal. All right, after you get Frozen Veins, you have a choice between Ice Caress and Clarity of Thought. Well, you want to take a look at the second trait after that and to determine which way you would want to grab things. All right, so with Icy Caress, you get damage dealt by Frostbelt by 3%, and so it's good. But the Orbital Strike is all right, but not that good compared to Ice Age. So you'd want to go with Clarity of Thought. All right, once that goes, he actually opens up this Ice Hand, which is the key damage that you can do is your Fingers of Frost. So increasing the charge by 1 is just fantastic, which means that this right here, Let It Go, is just going to increase in value as we go. All right, so then Ice Age, increase the damage done by Flurry by 15%, and then get Chill to the Core. Chill to the Core encases you in ice, giving you this ice form. It increases the damage you deal by 20%. It doesn't last for the entire bit of Icy Veins, especially if you have Thermal Void, but it does do a good amount of damage for 20 seconds. After that, we're sitting at 20 points for Chill to the Core. With this Icy Hand, you definitely want to Let It Go right now. And then after you're done with Let It Go, then you can go with Ice Caress. So you're sitting at 26 points right now, and you have a little bit of decisions to make to get to Black Ice. Do I go through Ice 9, or do I go through Shield of Ally and just go? Well, personally, my best opinion would be to get Ice 9 because it just generates 2 icicles. And the more that you generate your icicles, or faster you generate it, the more that it fires off the 5 icicles. And then you go with the Shield of Ally, and then right to Black Ice. Once you get Black Ice, then the Ice 9 becomes more valuable because Ebon Chill has a chance to empower your icicles, increasing 100% of your damage. So it's definitely worth the additional 2 that you can generate. After that, the last thing to do will be Orbital Strike. You pop 3 points into there, and then it opens up your Spellborn. Power flows freely through the Ebon Chill, allowing you to harness more and more of its frightening potential, increasing your damage by 5%. You just every so often it goes up by 1%. If I get 20 points into it, then your frost damage is increased by 15%. So at 54 points, your Spellborn will have a 15% frost damage increase for your Ebon Chill Frost. So that's just so it's not necessarily the path you must take. It's a path that I took, and it's a path that seems to work out best for me with damage done for the Frost Mage. So let's just go back to check out the rotation. Alright, I'm back, and we're going to take a look at the rotation. There's 2 parts of the rotation that you really have to be mindful about, and that is going to be the regular rotation plus your cooldowns, and then your opening rotation. As a mage, it doesn't matter which spec you play, opening rotation or sequence is going to be the key to your DPS. For Frost, it's a little bit different. Your rotation normally, as it stands, is going to hold you afloat as more of a constant. It's not really going to have a whole lot of burst like it would if you were a Fire Mage, or if you decided to take different talents than I did. I'm going to get into my spec here. Bone Chilling, Frozen Touch, Can't Just Slow Shimmer, that's okay. Alright, single target. So, I'm going to get in a better position here. Alright, we are going to stand here among these other mages, and we're going to just deep it. That's this construct right here. Alright, so I'm single target, so I'm going to do a single target rotation for you. So the single target rotation basically means if you have Ice Lance available, or your Fingers of Frost, we have 3 procs of it, make sure you just dump 1 of your Fingers of Frost. Alright, you don't want to go over your Fingers of Frost totals. If you have your Frost Bolt, which I don't have in this spec, you want to use it. You might want to like team it up with your Ebon Bolt or your Water Jet or the Frozen Orb. It doesn't really matter. Just use one to make sure you get Shatter off on your targets, which is always going to be a key thing to do. If your brain freezes up, this is going to be important. You have to Frost Bolt before you do it. It's a little bit different than just firing it off on your Frostfire Bolt. But you just Frostbolt out so you get chain reaction, flurry, and then Ice Lance. The Ice Lance immediately will be picked up off the Winter's Chill, and so it will be your crazy amount of shatter damage to the target. So when you get your Brain Freeze, you want to Frostbolt, flurry, Ice Lance. Also, you want to dump all your Fingers of Frost beforehand. Your Ice Lance does not gain any type of benefit from your Winter's Chill if you have Fingers of Frost. Then Water Jet, if you have it's available, then you Frostbolt twice, and then use Ice Lance to clear it off, and then you use Frostbolt as your filler. So it's really just going to look something like this. We're going to Frostbolt, Frostbolt, I got Fingers of Frost, I'm going to fire that off, Frostbolt, Flurry, Ice Lance, Water Jet's available, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to Frostbolt, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Ice Lance, Ice Lance right there. So 285 damage, no big deal. Firebolt, Flurry, and there you go. So it's just kind of just a simple rotation like that. Also, if you have Ebon Bolt available, go ahead and use it. If you have Frozen Orb available, go ahead and use it. But you have to look at those in retrospect to your Icy Veins. You don't want to use all of those cooldowns if your Icy Veins is about up. It's really a DPS loss if you don't have it available when you're trying to pop it up or whatever. So that's your basic rotation. Just use Frostbolt if you have Icy Veins, use it and all that stuff. The opening rotation is going to be similar to what you would do if Icy Veins was open during your normal rotation. Basically, the opener is going to look like this. You're going to precast your pre-pot your Deadly Grace, precast your Frostbolt, Frozen Orb, Icy Veins, dump your charges, Frozen Touch, dump your charges, Ebon Bolt, dump your charges, spend your Brain Freeze, activate Frozen Touch, dump your charges, and then jump back into the normal rotation. So it's actually fairly simple, I guess, straightforward, I guess, but I'm not going to use my pre-pot, obviously, but I'm just going to show you the gist of this. I have all my abilities ready to go. Who knows how this is going to work. My pet's not on passive anymore. We'll see how this goes. 100 MS, I should be fine. Alright, so I'm going to light it off. I don't have Frostbolt, so I'm just going to ignore that one with a precast of the Frostbolt. Frostbolt, Orb, I'm going to Icy Veins, I'm going to dump, Frozen Touch, dump, Ebon Bolt, dump, dump, and then Water Jet, dump, dump, dump this, dump that, and then just keep up with the normal rotation with the filler as a normal rotation. Here we go. Doing my best to keep uptime on that. Water Jet is available, and that's about it. That's a basic rotation. I'm sitting at 360 right now. My Icy Veins is still going. I missed an opportunity right there, but it's alright. 370, and Icy Veins just fell off. So I'm about a minute in. Just using the rotations I possibly can. I'm clicking, but I don't care. And that's how that goes. So I'm just going to put my pet on passive. I'm sitting at 340 DPS, just messing around. So it's not the best. I'm not even the best. I'm even close to being the best. But that's basically how it's done for that. Alright, let's take a look at the stat weights. The stat weights for the Frost Mage are going to be a little bit crazy, a little bit different than what you're expecting. Intellect is going to be your number one, obviously. You're a mage, why wouldn't you use Intellect? Haste is going to be your next one, the main one that you want to stack and make sure everything is on your gear is Haste. You might notice like a Haste soft cap around 47% or 50%. It's roughly around there is when you're going to want to start doing your crit up to 34% or 33.34% for Shatter Cap. And then after crit, it's Verse and Mastery, and those are roughly neck and neck. I don't have any versatility gear on, and that's better than Mastery, but oh well. I'd probably work on itemization as well. For the gems, right now it's going to be Haste or the Int Gem. In my crappy Legendary, I have the Int Gem. Everything else, I just have Haste. And then for the enchants, you're going to want to put Haste as well on your rings, the Mark of the Satyr on your neck, and the Intellect Cloak. For your food, the Azari Salad. For your flask, you're going to have the Flask of the Whispered Pack. For your pot, it's Deadly Grace, things like that. So those are basically your consumables for raid.